As we all know by now, Nintendo has been releasing Wii U games on the Nintendo Switch, which is smart because after the Wii U's upsetting lifetime, some of those great games were missed out on. But with the Nintendo Switch's success, it was a no-brainer to throw some of the best games out on the Switch in its early life. So, naturally, you would assume Mario Kart 8 and Mario 3D World would be nearly launch time. Nope! 3D World was ported over to the Switch almost 4 years into its life, and that's why I'm here, to review the recently released Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Before we get into the news stuff, we have to go back to 2013. It had been 3 years since a console 3D Mario, and Nintendo had announced the Wii U would have a brand new 3D Mario game. Then the trailer dropped. Come on, it's just another generic Mario game. Yes, it's another generic Mario game. Right off the bat, this game wasn't looking the most promising to most fans, but I was still excited. Then the game came out. Mario 3D World is a linear 3D platformer like Super Mario 3D Land on the 3DS, and most fans weren't happy about that. They wanted a more traditional 3D Mario like 64 or Sunshine, and it definitely hurt the game that it was not only the only 3D Mario game on the Wii U, but it was on the Wii U. And you know how well the Wii U was perceived. But the game itself is phenomenal, and it still is 8 years later. Now that we're done with the history, that brings us to the re-release. With Pikmin 3 Deluxe releasing on the Nintendo Switch earlier this year, and it being Mario's 35th anniversary, it was a no-brainer that later this year we would get Super Mario 3D World for the Switch. Which, in October, we got a trailer for Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and I could not have been more excited. On February 12th, 2021, after the game got leaked all over the internet, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury was released for the Switch. And with this review, we're going to start with Bowser's Fury before I get into 3D World, because that's probably what you're here for. Bowser's Fury is an extra mode added to Super Mario 3D World's port on the Switch. No, it may not be the longest game, but I think that's a good thing. The game starts out by literally throwing you into Lake Lab Cat, and no longer than 30 seconds in, Fury Bowser just attacks you out of nowhere. After you learn the way Fury Bowser works by him blowing up a couple blocks in front of you that only Bowser can blow up, and it gives you a nice staircase to go grab your first Cat Shine, which are the collectibles you're going to collect on your journey, the Cat Shine causes Fury Bowser to retreat, and that's when you open up your first 3 sections and Bowser Jr. The game has begun. The world is designed kind of like Little Kingdoms from Mario Odyssey, but this way, instead of going from kingdom to kingdom in your ship, the Odyssey, you hop on Plessie and ride your way there. Since you're in a lake, technically, the kingdoms are essentially islands with different platforming challenges, and as always, it's a Mario game, so they're designed near perfectly, and each island has 5 Cat Shines on it, and it takes 50 Cat Shines to complete the game. But at every certain amount of Cat Shines, the Giga Cat Bell awakens. Before we get into that, I must discuss the most important part, Fury Bowser. Fury Bowser activates at random times through your adventure, and he will attack you from afar, with terrain-altering spikes that let you reach other areas, or a giant fire blast that can open up secret Cat Shines, which is cool in concept, but when trying to complete the game without the Bowser amiibo, you kinda just wait until those blocks are blown up by Fury Bowser. That means you have to wait until he activates. But once you have 45 Cat Shines, Fury Bowser is there to stay until you've grabbed 5 more and access the Giga Cat Bell one last time. The Giga Cat Bell activates a decently challenging boss fight as Giant Cat Mario, or Giga Cat Mario if you will, and Bowser will attack you, and you have to figure out how to counterattack him with either throwing things back at him, ground pounding on him, scratching him with the Cat Bell, and this leads to some fun boss battles. There's multiple throughout the game. Every time you activate the Cat Bell, you have to fight the Giga Cat Bell. Then you fight Fury Bowser. Then, finally, you open up to one of the best final boss fights I've ever played. But I'm gonna leave you to find that one out yourself. I don't want to spoil everything. Before we finish with Bowser's Fury, I want to talk about Bowser Jr. Much like Cappy and Luma from previous Mario games, you have a companion joining you this time, which surprisingly is Bowser Jr. Bowser Jr., again, like Cappy and Luma, can be controlled by a second player, or you can set him to help out, either a lot or a little, on your adventure. He can use his famous paintbrush from Mario Sunshine to get power-ups or attack enemies. He can also ground pound on enemies, and he's probably the most helpful companion yet in any 3D Mario. My final thoughts on Bowser's Fury is it's a wonderful add-on to 3D World, and it fits perfectly because while 3D World combines both 3D and 2D Marios in a more 2D Mario type way, like a more linear base, Bowser's Fury combines both 3D and 2D Mario in a more open world 3D Mario type of way. But it has aspects from both, kinda like 3D World, but on the opposite side. It's the perfect addition to 3D World and the perfect bundle. And in my opinion, it's a must-have for any Switch owner. Okay, now that we're done with Bowser's Fury, we're going to talk about Super Mario 3D World. Super Mario 3D World is a linear 3D platformer combining the best of Mario's 2D adventures and 3D adventures into what I think is the almost perfect package. To start out, we're going to discuss what makes it great and what holds it back from being perfect. We're going to start off with my first point on why Super Mario 3D World is an almost perfect game. The flawless level design. What 3D World has going for it is some of, if not the best levels I've ever played in a platformer. Each level is completely different from each other, showing that Mario Team's endless ideas paid off. Let me explain how a level goes. You boot up a level, it introduces a special mechanic themed to that level, you figure out the mechanic as the level slowly increases in difficulty, then bam, you've mastered the level's special element and pull off some platforming goodness. This leads for some of the most memorable Mario levels to date. Like, who can forget the great joy you and your friends had controlling Plessie down Plessie's plunging falls in World 1, or the chaotic goodness of Last Block Skyway, or running for your lives in Fuzzy Time Mine. After the level design, we realized the Switch is perfect for Super Mario 3D World. As we know, most fans weren't the happiest with the Wii U. While I love and cherish all of my Nintendo consoles, this one is not perceived too well with the public. I was happy with my Wii U, the games were good and that's all I needed. But 3D World definitely feels right at home on the Switch. It's a game meant for multiplayer, in my opinion the Switch is meant for multiplayer also. And having it on the Switch makes it really easy to just pick up and go, and Mario 3D World is the perfect game for that. And if you want friends to join, just toss them a Joy-Con and hop into a level. Now we get to some of the new mechanics of 3D World. It introduces some new things like an insane new running speed and online multiplayer. Now, not including Mario Maker 2, this is the first Mario platformer to have online multiplayer, and it works well. I'm not going to say it's the best online game, but it works most of the time. You'll occasionally run into some bumps and frame drops, but compared to some other titles on the Switch, this one's an improvement. With online, 3D World also has tons of levels, and I mean tons of levels, and each level is so much different from the last, it makes playing through it a complete blast. It's so much fun to see what new levels are going to be thrown at you, what environment you'll be in, and it's just completely different from the last. With its 8 worlds and 4 bonus worlds, 3D World is pretty big and has a lot of replayability to it. The variety in this game is mind-blowing. Once you've played through 3D World, you reach the final boss, which the final boss for 3D World is amazing. Seeing Bowser use power-ups for the first time is so refreshing, especially as he chases you up the beautiful tower of Bowser Land as you dodge his attacks left and right. And the battle itself throws you into a platforming section with stuff you've learned throughout the game, and it throws it all into one final trial, and it's an amazing boss fight. And to go with that, 3D World has some creative boss battles, like just creative bosses in general. The battles itself aren't the best. I'm not going to say they're the hardest bosses, but some of the new bosses are incredibly creative, like Histocrat and King Kathunk. They're designed well, and they're a fun way to end a castle stage. But, like every review, there's got to be some type of negativity with the game. It doesn't even have to be much, but I have a major problem. They have to cool it with the cat suit. I love the cat suit. It's a beautifully designed power-up. You can scratch, dive, and even climb walls. But I have one problem with it. It shows up way too much. Let me elaborate. Until World 3, you can't acquire anything other than a fire flower and a cat bell. Not including the double cherry because it's a level-based power-up and you lose it at the end. And I think the fire flower shows up in 3 levels until then? So, at the beginning, it's always catsuit, and normally I love all Mario power-ups, but I've seen the catsuit so many times in 3D World. When I see it now, I don't even bother picking it up. And it's an extra hit. Like, you always grab an extra power-up, but I'm gonna easily go search for a different one, go out of my way to find a different one, because the cat bell shows up a little too much. Other than too much catsuit, it's really, I love the game and don't see really that much wrong with it at all. Like, it is one of my favorite Mario games, if not my favorite game of all time. It has so much variety, so much replayability, so much characters, and so much personality. Like, I love 3D World so much, and it fits perfectly on the Switch. 3D World is a must-have for any Switch owner. You got online multiplayer, you have single-player content, you have everything you could possibly want in one $60 package. And well, it's Mario. Everybody loves Mario. With Bowser's Fury and Mario 3D World in the incredible package on the Switch, it's a must-have for any Switch owner. You got online multiplayer, you got local couch co-op, you even have a competitive mode where you can compete for the crown. You have 5 playable characters. I think 12 worlds. You got 8. Yeah, you got 12 completely different from each other worlds with tons of levels, a great final boss. You have an open world 3D Mario. It's small, yes, but it's still a blast to play through. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is a must-have for any Switch owner and any Mario fan.